There it is.
And hopefully I can prevent the whole weird feedback thing we got last time.
Oh, there is the video. It says I was live 3 minutes ago.
There it is.
And hopefully I can prevent the whole weird feedback thing we got last time. Nope, we're getting feedback again.
Did it open up another tab for you that you can close?
Maybe let's try that. I'll just close all these tabs. All right, did that work?
I don't hear any feedback.
All right. Can you still hear me though?
Yes.
We can.
Okay. Well, I don't hear any feedback of no one either. I just closed up a whole bunch of tabs and that's called this Table Tuesday tabs all popped up.
Yeah, normally when I go live on YouTube, a new tab would pop up with the YouTube, the video.
Well, I
Or at
don't
least
have the
option.
video tab popping up. I just had all these other tabs popping up. But
That's quite the mug, Vicky.
mug? Oh my gosh, that is so cool. All right, so I guess we'll just wait for Angel.
All right. Can you share that casting thing again, or did you send out a link to the new
I
updated
put it in the
cast?
chat.
Okay.
But
I'll
I
check
can
it.
also share it again too if you prefer.
No, the chat is good. I just didn't know or check there. Thank you. I actually don't see it there.
But I did try to make sure our people would get in here. So I tried
Yeah, I saw.
contacting them several times.
Thank you.
But I think I made it so we wouldn't be doing a lot of talking to ourselves at least. So. While we're waiting for Angel, do you want to do a little recap of the story or should we wait for her?
Well, first, by the chat, where do you mean?
I can repost it again here. Let's try that. I put a link in the chat just now.
Oh, that chat.
That
Okay.
chat.
Yes,
I'm sorry. There are more than one chats, isn't there? Yes, in the Zoom chat.
All right. Great.
There's two angels.
There it is.
Oh.
Well, the story, of course, has three, so maybe. Hi, Angel. Nice to see your face.
Hello. Nice to see you too.
So before we start reading, I was going to recap the story just a little bit since it's been a while. So Christmas Eve, 1946, Bedford Falls, New York. And we started off our story with Angels Franklin and Joseph discussing sending someone down to help out a man called George Bailey, who is about to take his own life, which of course is a big no-no. So next angel on the rotation to send down, of course, is Clarence, who's been passed over for promotion several times to, earn his wings. So not necessarily your best and brightest. And instead of getting dressed as an angel would for the right clothes, the right time period, he has to spend the next hour or so learning about George Bailey's life so that he can help him out when he gets down there. So from Clarence's point of view, we see George as a kid first, rescuing his younger brother from drowning, and then, of course, becoming partially deaf as a result of that. We meet George's father, who works for the building and loan, and George's mother, his forgetful Uncle Billy, brother Harry, cousins Eustace, cousins Tilly, their black maid Annie, who's like part of the family, and quite a few of the town folks, like Ernie, the taxi driver, and Bert, the cop, and Martini, who lives in the ramshackle housing part in the town, that part of Potter's Field. We get a feeling it's, pretty much a small town, friendly people, except for Mr. Potter, the mean and miserly businessman who runs a bank of his own and it rather enhances wealth by kind of capitalizing on the miseries of others, loan foreclosures, buying up land, buying up businesses, bargain prices, that sort of thing. As for George, we learn early on that the only thing he really wants to do is just kind of travel and see the world and go on an adventure. And somehow things keep coming up to prevent that. He's a pretty good guy. He works at a druggist. He helps the druggist, Mr. Gower, prevents him from accidentally poisoning someone. He chaperones a school dance where he has a nice little dance with Mary, who's secretly in love with him. And they have some practical jokes being played on them, like falling into a swimming pool. And then later we see George and Mary kind of falling in love with this old ramshackle house. And as time goes on, George is about to go off on this big trip right before he goes to university, and his father dies. So George is stuck running the building alone because his younger brother Harry's not quite old enough. So he gives Harry the money to go to college, and Harry says, "I'll be back in 4 years, and I'll take over building loan, and you can go on your trip, and you can go into college." Well, 4 years pass by. Harry comes home. He's got a new wife, and the wife, his wife's father, has offered Harry a new job. So kind of George sees a writing on the wall and realizes, he's going to be stuck in Bedford Falls running the building alone. But he gets married, at least. He marries Mary. And before they can go on their honeymoon, there's a big run on the bank, like 1939 stock market crash kind of run on the bank. And Potter calls in all the loans that he's owed. And so George and Mary have to use their honeymoon money to pretty much keep the bank solvent and keep the doors from closing so they don't lose the bank. And so they save the bank. Some more time passes. That nice big broken house is now a home, and they managed to establish Bailey's Park, which is kind of like this housing development, and people like Martini can move out of the slums and into Potter's nice development, into George Bailey's nice development, which of course makes Potter a little bit upset because it's hurting his profits. And so we're going to begin our story with Potter inviting George Bailey into his office to discuss a business proposition. And that's kind of where we kind of pause mid-time this time.
Recap.
Yep, recap. Angel, I posted, I don't know if you saw it, there's some parts for you in the Zoom chat, some extra parts since we're missing a few people today. Can you see them there? Yeah. So I can pull them up here on the screen too if you want to just write them down real quick.
Yeah, that would be great.
You pull that up here. Let's see where I had that. Let me get up here. Let's see. And I'm going to pull the wrong thing up here for a sec. There we go. So this is going to play who today? Vicky gets to play George Bailey. The nice guy. Angel, I have you down as actions and descriptions and a couple other folks. A couple of smaller parts in between. So can you see that okay? Do you want me to make it larger?
No, that's perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Look at all that work that went into it.
And Jacob, you got your parts written down or handy? Perfect.
Yes.
All right. And I got mine right in front of me. So before we jump into our reading, then I guess we should do a little bit of introductions just for our audience that may be out there listening. Jacob, did you want to go ahead and start with who you are? And
Sure. Jacob Patrick. I like to create, and that includes screenwriting and filmmaking. So I'm happy to be here to see how these great films were written. And that's that.
Awesome.
If you want to see any of my stuff, jacobpatrick.com.
Okay. Vicky.
Hi, I'm Vicky Dykes. I'm an actress from Central Alberta. I'm reading George Bailey tonight, and it's awesome. I'm really, really happy to be reading that role. It's very well known in the world, and yeah, this is exciting to finish this movie tonight.
Angel, are you ready? Are you still
yes. Yeah, I am Angel Peterson or Angelina, and I'm also in Central Alberta. Friends with, well, everyone here. I was gonna say friends with Vicky because we're close, but and I do a little of many things. video editing and screenwriting most of all, but I'm also I used to act a lot more. Now I just do for Table Read Tuesday because it's fun.
And I'm Kat Wilson, one of your hosts this evening, along with Vicky, and out in Gig Harbor, Washington, in the U.S. And the freezing cold, although probably not as cold as you guys are out over there. So we're not used to cold out here in the Northwest. So, you know, when it gets down to like 20 degrees, we're like, oh, burn. So anyways, in addition to hosting in here, I also host at 2 households in Fair Corona with Shakespeare Reading Group. Been doing that for since 2020. And I also go out in the summers, I teach wildlife education, so environmental education at camp settings. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to switch over here to our script and back up here to our top. And when you are ready, Angel, go ahead and take it away.
Interior Potter's office day, close shot. Potter is lighting a big cigar, which he has just given George. The goon is beside Potter's chair as usual.
Thank you, sir. Oh, quite a cigar, Mr. Potter.
You like it? I'll send you a box.
Well, I suppose I'll find out sooner or later. But just what exactly did you want to see me about?
George, now, that's just what I like so much about you. George, I'm an old man, and most people hate me. But I don't like them either, so that makes it all even. You know, just as well as I do that I run practically everything in this town, but the Bailey Building and Loan. You know, also, that for a number of years I've been trying to get control of it, or kill it, but I haven't been able to do it. You have been stopping me. In fact, you have beaten me, George. And as anyone in this county can tell you, that takes some doing. Take during the Depression, for instance. You and I were the only ones that kept our heads. You saved the building and loan, and I saved all the rest.
Yes. Well, most people say you stole all the rest.
The envious ones say that, George. The suckers. Now, I have stated my side very frankly. Now, let's look at your side. A young man, 27, 28, married, making, say, 40 a week.
45.
45, of which, after supporting your mother and paying your bills, you're able to keep, say, 10 if you skimp. A child or two comes along, and you won't even be able to save 10. Now, if this young man of 28 was a common, ordinary yokel, I'd say he was doing fine. But George Bailey is not a common, ordinary yokel. He's an intelligent, smart, ambitious young man who hates his job, who hates the building and loan almost as much as I do. A young man who's been dying to get out on his own ever since he was born. A young man, the smartest one of the crowd. Mind you, a young man who has to sit by and watch his friends go places because he's trapped. Yes, sir, trapped into frittering his life away, playing nursemaid to a lot of garlic eaters. Do I paint a correct picture or do I exaggerate?
Now, what's your point, Mr. Potter?
My point is I want to hire you.
Hire me?
Yes, I want you to manage my affairs, run my properties. George, I'll start you out at $20,000 a year. And Angel reads.
Oh, George drops his cigar on his lap. He nervously brushes off the spark from his clothes.
$20,000 a year?
You wouldn't mind living in the nicest house in town, buying your wife a lot of fine clothes, a couple of business trips to New York a year, maybe once in a while to Europe. You wouldn't mind that, would you, George?
Would I? You're not talking to somebody else around here, are you? You know, this is me. You remember me? George Bailey.
Oh, yes, George Bailey, whose ship has just come in, providing he has brains enough to climb on board.
Well, what about the building and loan?
Oh, confound it, man! Are you afraid of success? I'm offering you a 3-year contract at $20,000 a year, starting today. Is it a deal or isn't it?
Well, Mr. Potter, I I know I ought to jump at the chance, but I, I just I could just conjure. Oh, I just wonder if it would be possible for you to give me 24 hours to think it over.
Sure, sure, sure. You go home and talk about it to your wife.
I'd like to do that.
In the meantime, I'll draw up the papers.
All right, sir.
Okay, George?
Okay, Mr. Potter.
As they shake hands, George feels a physical revulsion. Potter's hand feels like a cold mackerel to him. In that moment of physical contact, he knows he could never be associated with this man. George drops his hand with a shudder. He peers intently into Potter's face.
No, 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 no. Now, wait a minute here. I don't have to talk to anybody. I know right now. And the answer is no, no. Doggone it. Oh, you sit around here and you spin your little webs and you think the whole world revolves around you and your money. Well, it doesn't, Mr. Potter. In the whole vast configuration of things, I'd say you were nothing but a scurvy little spider. You
Turns and shouts at the goon, impassive as ever besides Potter's chair.
and that goes for you too.
As George opens the office door to exit, he shouts at Mr. Potter's secretary in the outer office.
And that goes for you too.
Wipe to interior bedroom, George and Mary's house. Night. Close shot. George enters the bedroom. The room is modestly furnished with just a cheap bed, a chair or two, and a dresser. Mary is asleep in the bed. As George comes in, his head is filled with many confusing thoughts relating to incidents in his past life.
You wouldn't mind living in the nicest house in town, building your wife a lot of fine clothes, buying, going to New York on a business trip a couple of times a year, maybe to Europe once in a while.
George takes off his hat and coat, moves over to the dresser, and stares at his reflection in the mirror.
I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and the year after that. I'm shaking the dust off this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm going to see the world. And I'm going to build things. I'm going to build airfields. I'm going to build skyscrapers 100 stories high. I'm going to build a bridge a mile long.
While the above thoughts are passing through George's head, his attention is caught by a picture on the wall near the dresser. Insert picture on the wall. It is the sketch of George lassoing the moon that we first saw in Mary's living room. The lettering reads, George lassoes the moon.
What is it you want, Mary? You want the moon? If you do, well, just say the word. I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down for you.
Mary is now awake and starts singing their theme song.
Buffalo gals, won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight? Won't you come out tonight?
George crosses over and sits on the edge of the bed.
Hi,
Hi.
Mary Hatch. Why in the world did you ever marry a guy like me?
Keep from being an old maid.
You could have married Sam Wainwright or anybody else in town.
I didn't want to marry anybody else in town. I want my baby to look like you.
You didn't even have a honeymoon. I promised you. You're what?
My baby.
You mean Mary? Oh, You on the next nest?
George Bailey lassos stork.
Lasso's a stork. Oh, you mean you? Oh, what is it? A boy or a girl?
Mary nods her head happily. Fade out, fade in. Montage sequence. Over the following series of shots, we hear the voice of George and Clarence in heaven. Exterior Main Street, Bedford Falls, night, medium shot. George is crossing the street, heading for the offices of the building and loan.
Now you probably already guessed that George never leaves Bedford Falls.
No.
Interior hospital day, close shot, nurse holding newborn baby.
Mary had her baby, a boy.
Interior sitting room day, close shot. Mary sitting on the floor playing with the baby. A little boy is in the playpen nearby.
And then she had another one, a girl.
Interior Granville house day, close shot. Mary is busy hanging wallpaper and painting the old place.
Day after day, she worked away, remaking the old Granville house into a home.
Interior Granville house night, close shot. George has just come into the hall. He is obviously tired and discouraged as he starts up the stairs. The knob on the banister comes off in his hand.
Night after night, George came back late from the office. Potter was bearing down hard.
Wipe to exterior recruiting grounds day, medium long shot. A group of men, obviously just drafted, marching along in a camp.
Then came a war.
Interior Red Cross workroom day, close shot. Mrs. Bailey and the other women in the Red Cross uniforms, busily sewing, etc.
Ma Bailey and Mrs. Hatch joined the Red Cross and sewed.
Exterior train and railroad station day, close shot. Mary with the portable USO pushcart is serving coffee and donuts to men leading from the train.
Mary had 2 more babies, but still found time to run the USO.
Interior factory day, close shot. Sam Wainwright showing set of blueprints to 2 Army officers.
Sam Wainwright made a fortune in plastic hoods for the planes.
Interior factory day, close shot. Potter is wheeled in toward a long table around which several men are seated.
Potter became head of the draft board.
1A, 1A, 1A.
Exterior street in Bedford Falls day, medium close shot. Gower and Uncle Billy are conducting a bond rally from the top of an army tank.
Gower and Uncle Billy sold war bonds.
Exterior battlefield night, medium close-up. Bert in uniform moves cautiously with fixed bayonet. Smoke and flashes of gunfire in background.
Bert the cop was wounded in North Africa. Got the Silver Star.
Exterior sky day, long shot. Hundreds of planes flying overhead with parachutes dropping from them.
Ernie, the taxi driver, parachuted into France.
Exterior Remagen Bridge over the Rhine day. Close shot. Marty in the foreground beckoning to soldiers to come on.
Marty helped capture the Remagen Bridge.
Interior ready room on aircraft carrier night. Close shot. Harry is fastening the helmet of his flying clothes. He waves as he exits through the door.
Harry Bailey topped them all. A Navy flyer, he shot down 15 planes.
Exterior ocean from deck of carrier night, long shot. A flaming plane crashes into the sea.
2 of them, as they were about to crash into a transport full of soldiers.
Yes, but George.
Interior ration office day, close shot. George behind the counter is trying to quiet a crowd of people all clamoring for more ration points.
George? 4F on account of his ear. Now, George fought the Battle of Bedford Falls.
George shouts.
Hold on now. Don't you know there's a war on?
Exterior street night, close shot. George in the uniform of an air raid warden is patrolling his beat.
Air raid warden.
Exterior house night, close shot. Man beside lighted window pulls down the shade as George blows his whistle. Exterior street day, close shot. George is helping load his old car with a scrap paper.
Paper drives.
Exterior dump day, close shot. Wheelbarrow full of junk being dumped into a pile.
Scrap drives.
Exterior street day, medium close shot. Children wheeling old tires.
Rubber drives.
Interior church day, medium shot. People praying in church.
Like everybody else, on VE Day, he wept and he prayed.
Exterior church, another angle. Medium close shot, people entering church.
On VJ Day, he wept and prayed again. And now, Joseph, show him what happened today. Well, yes, sir.
Exterior Bedford Falls Street, winter day. George is walking along the sidewalk reading a newspaper. It is a raw, gusty day, and his overcoat is muffler flap in the breeze. Drape around one arm is a large Christmas wreath. Under his other arm are several more copies of the paper.
This morning, day before Christmas, about 10 a.m., Bedford Falls.
George, thank you.
Bedford Falls time.
George comes to where Ernie, the taxi driver, is standing on the sidewalk.
Hi, Ernie. Look at that.
Insert newspaper. The front page of the paper in Bedford Falls Sentinel. The headline reads, President decorates Harry Bailey. Local boy wins Congressional Medal of Honor. The subhead tells of a plan for a giant jubilee and parade to be followed by the banquet in honor of Commander Harry Bailey, USN, on his way home from Washington after receiving the Congressional Medal of Honor. There's a large picture of President Truman pinning the coveted medal on Harry's bosom in the midst of dignitaries. A picture of the transport which Harry saved. Practically the whole front page is devoted to the story. Close shot, George and Ernie.
Gonna snow again.
What do you mean it's going to snow again? Look at the headline.
I know. I think it's marvelous.
Gower comes running across the street from a drugstore and joins them.
Commander Harry Bailey, Mr. Gower. Look at this. The second page. And now look, this is for you. This is for you. This is for you. See you again.
Exterior street day, medium long shot. Uncle Billy is walking along the street, humming happily to himself. He sees some men decorated the courthouse with banners and bunting. There's a huge sign reading, Welcome home, Harry Bailey.
Be sure you spell the name right.
Interior outer office building and loan, day, full shot. The offices are unchanged, still small time and old fashioned. The same office, force, albeit a few years older. Cousin Tilly and Cousin Eustace seated in the chair is a middle-aged man with a briefcase. The outer door opens and George enters.
Extra, extra. Read all about it.
Cousin Tilly and Cousin Eustace are talking on the phone. George, it's Harry now on long distance from Washington.
Harry? What do you know about that?
He reversed the charges. It's okay, isn't it?
Oh, what do you mean it's okay? For a hero? Harry, oh, you old seven kinds of a son of a gun. Oh, congratulations. How's mother standing it? Oh, she did. Oh, what do you know? Mother had lunch with the president's wife.
Oh, wait till Martha hears about this.
What did they have to eat?
And what did they have to eat, Harry? Here, you should see what they're cooking up in the town for you. Oh, are they? The Navy's going to fly Mother home this afternoon.
In a plane?
What? Uncle Billy? Has Uncle Billy come in yet?
Oh, no, he stopped at the bank first.
He's not here right now, Harry.
Cousin Eustace has turned away from George and caught a glimpse of the man waiting in the chair. This is Carter, the bank examiner, come in for his annual audit of the books of the building and loan.
But look.
George.
Now tell me about it.
George, that man's here again.
What man?
The bank examiner.
Oh. Talk to Eustace a minute, will you? I'll be right back.
He gives the phone to Eustace, puts down his wreath, and goes over to Carter. Close shot, George and Carter. They shake hands.
Good morning, sir.
Carter, bank examiner.
Mr. Carter, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We're all excited around here. My brother just got the Congressional Medal of Honor. The president just decorated him.
Well, I guess they do those things. Well, I trust you had a good year.
Good year? Well, between you and me, Mr. Carter, we're broke.
Yeah, very funny.
Well, now come right in here, Mr. Carter.
Although I shouldn't wonder when you okay reverse charges on a personal long distance calls.
George, should we hang up?
Oh, no, no. He wants to talk to Uncle Billy. You just hold on.
Now, if you'll cooperate, I'd like to finish with you by tonight. I want to spend Christmas in Elmira with my family.
I don't blame you at all, Mr. Carter. Just step right in here. We'll fix you up.
Interior bank day close shot. Uncle Billy is filling out a deposit slip at one of the desks.
December 24th.
He takes a thick envelope from his inside pocket and thumbs through the bills it contains. It is evidently a large sum of money.
8,000.
Medium shot, Georgia Street. Potter is being wheeled in by his goon. Various bank officers run over to greet him. He's reading the newspaper. Uncle Billy is finished filling out his slips and comes over to taunt Potter, the envelope containing the money in his hand.
Well, good morning, Mr. Potter. What's the news?
He grabs the paper from Potter's hand.
Oh, well. Harry Bailey wins a congressional medal. That couldn't be one of the Bailey boys. You just can't keep those Baileys down now, can you, Mr. Potter?
How does that slacker George feel about that?
Oh, very jealous, very jealous. He only lost 3 buttons off his vest. Of course, slacker George would have gotten 2 of those medals if he'd gone.
Bad air.
Yes.
Uncle Billy folds Potter's paper over the envelope containing his money and flings his final taunt at the old man.
After all, Potter, some people like George had to stay home. Not every heel was in Germany and Japan.
In a cold rage, Potter grabs his paper and wheels off towards his office. Uncle Billy smiles triumphantly and goes toward deposit window with his deposit slip. Close shot. Uncle Billy and the bank teller at the window.
Good morning, Horace.
Uncle Billy hands the book bank over. The teller opens it, starts to punch it with a rubber stamp. I guess you forgot something.
Huh?
Well, you forgot something.
What?
Well, aren't you going to make a deposit?
Sure I am.
Well, then, it's usually customary to bring the money with you.
Oh, shucks.
Uncle Billy searches through every pocket he has.
Well, I know I had it.
The teller, knowing the old man's vagaries, points to one of the numerous strings tied around his fingers. Well, how about that one there?
Well,
Interior Potter's office day, close shot. Potter is now behind the desk. He spreads a newspaper out in front of him, mutters as he does so.
Bailey.
He sees the envelope, looks inside at the money, then, to his goon, indicates the office door.
Take me back there. Hurry up. Come on. Look sharp.
Potter opens the door just a little and peers through into the bank. Interior bank day. Close shot. Deposits slip desk. Uncle Billy looks around for the money envelope. It is not there. He looks puzzled, thinks hard. Then a look of concern creeps into his eyes. He starts thumping his pockets with increasing panic. He looks into the waste paper basket on the floor. He finally rushes through the door and out into the street. Interior Potter's office day. Close shot. Potter watching through the door.
Take me back.
The goon wheels him back to his desk. He is deep in thought, with a crafty expression on his face. Exterior street day, medium close shot. Uncle Billy running across the street in the direction of the building and loan. Interior outer office, building and loan day, close shot. George coming in from where he has just left the bank examiner.
Just make yourself at home, Mr. Carter. I'll get those books for you.
He sees Violet Bick standing there.
Oh, hello, Vi.
George, can I see you for a second?
Why, of course you can. Come on in the office here.
He hears a noise, sees Uncle Billy entering the office.
Uncle Billy, talk to Harry. He's on the telephone.
George and Violet enter his private office. Uncle Billy comes hurrying in.
Hurry, Uncle Billy, hurry. Long distance, Washington.
Hey, here's Harry on the phone.
Harry, your nephew, remember?
Here he is. Uncle Billy picks up the phone and speaks distractedly without knowing what he's saying.
Hello? Hello? Yes, Harry? Yes, everything's fine.
He hangs up agitatedly, muttering to himself as he goes into his own office. Cousin Tilly and Cousin Eunice look after him, dumbfounded.
I should have my head examined. Hey, $1,000? It's got to be somewhere.
Interior George's office day. Close shot, George and Violet. George has just finished writing something and he's slipping the papers into an envelope.
Here you are.
George, if I had any character, I'd...
It takes a lot of character to leave your hometown and start all over again.
He pulls some money from his pocket and offers it to her. No, George, don't.
Oh, here. Now, you're broke, aren't you?
I know, but
What do you want to do? You know, hawk your furs and that hat? I mean, want to walk to New York? You know, they charge for meals and rent up there just the same as they do in Bedford Falls.
yeah, sure.
It's a loan. That's my business, building and loan. Besides, you'll get a job. Good luck to you.
She looks at him, then says a very strange thing. I'm glad I know you, George Bailey. She reaches up and kisses him on the cheek, leaving lipstick. George opens the door for her. Interior outer office day, close shot. As George and Violet come through the door, they are being watched by Cousin Tilly and Cousin Eustace at the bank examiner, who is still waiting to go to work on the books.
Say a hello to New York for me.
Yeah, sure I will.
Now, let's hear from you.
Violet sees the lipstick on George's cheek and dabs at it with her handkerchief.
Oh, what's the matter? Merry Christmas, bye.
Merry Christmas, George. She exits. Mr. Bailey.
Oh, Mr. Carter, I'm sorry. I'll be right with you. Uncle Billy in?
Yeah, he's in the office.
Interior doorway to Uncle Billy's office day, close shot. As George opens the door, he sees Uncle Billy frantically looking for the missing envelope. The office is in a mess. Drawers are opened and papers are scattered on the floor and on the desk.
Uncle, what's going on? The bank examiner's here and
He's here?
yeah. He wants the accounts payable.
George stops short, suddenly aware of the tragic old eyes looking up at him.
What's the matter with you?
Uncle Billy gestures nervously for George to come in. He does so and closes the door. Interior outer office day, medium shot. Cousin Tilly is at her switchboard and Cousin Eustace standing beside her. Carter is still waiting in the doorway to his office. Suddenly the door opens and George comes striding out. He goes directly to the safe and starts searching, but doesn't find the money. Then he goes to the cash drawer in the counter and looks through it.
Eustace,
Yeah,
come here a minute.
Cousin Eustace runs over to George.
Did you see Uncle Billy with any cash last night?
He had it on his desk, counting it before he closed up. Exterior Main Street, Bedford Falls day, medium shot. Uncle Billy and George are retracing the former's steps through the snow, looking everywhere for the missing money. They pause for a moment on the sidewalk.
Now look, did you buy anything?
Nothing. Not even a stick of gum.
All right. Now we'll go over every step you took around since you left the house.
This way.
They continue on down the street on their search. Exterior window of Potter's office and bank day, close shot. Potter is peering through the slats of the Venetian blinds, watching them as they go. Exterior Main Street, Bedford Falls day, moving shot. George and Uncle Billy continue their search. Wipe 2, interior Uncle Billy's living room, close shot. A shabby, old-fashioned, gaslit room which has been turned almost inside out and upside down in an effort to locate the missing money. Drawers of an old secretary have been pulled out and are on the floor. Every conceivable place which might have been used by Uncle Billy to put the money on has been searched. George, his hair rumpled, is feverishly pursuing the search. Uncle Billy is seated behind the desk, his head on his hands.
And did you put the envelope in your pocket?
Yeah, yeah, maybe, maybe.
Maybe, maybe. I don't want any maybe. Uncle Billy, we've got to find that money.
I'm no use to you, George.
Oh, listen to me. Do you have any secret hiding place here in the house? Or someplace you could have put it? I mean, someplace to hide the money?
Oh, I've been all over the whole house, even in rooms that have been locked since I lost Laura.
Uncle Billy starts sobbing hysterically. George grabs him by the lapel and shakes him.
Listen to me, listen to me. Think.
I can't think anymore, George. But I can't think anymore. It hurts.
George jerks him to his feet and shakes him. Uncle Billy stands before him like a frisked criminal, all his pockets hanging out empty. George's eyes and manner are almost maniacal.
Where's that money, you stupid, silly old fool? I mean, where's the money? Do you realize what this means? It means bankruptcy and scandal and prison.
He throws Uncle Billy down into his chair, and still shouts at him.
That's what it means. One of us is going to jail. Well, it's not going to be me.
George turns and heads for the door, kicking viciously at a waste basket on the floor as he goes. Uncle Billy remains sobbing at the table, his head in his arms. Wipe 2, interior, George's living room night, close shot. Janie, age 8, is seated at the piano playing Hark the Herald Angels Sing, which she practices during the remainder of the scene. There is a Christmas tree, all decorated near the fireplace. At a large table, Mary is busy putting cellophane bows and decorations on a gift packages. At a small table, Pete, age 9, is seated with a pad and pencil in the throes of composition on the floor. On the floor, Tommy, age 3, is playing with a toy vacuum cleaner. We hear the sound of a door open and close. Mary turns and sees George entering the hall. A slight powdering of snow on his head and shoulders. Interior hall night, close shot. As George comes into the house.
Hello, darling.
Hello, Daddy. Hello,
Hello,
Daddy.
Daddy. Hello, Daddy. How do you like it?
George sneezes violently.
Oh, bless you. Did you bring the wreath?
Did you bring the Christmas wreath?
What? What wreath?
The Merry Christmas wreath for the window.
No, I left it at the office.
Is it snowing?
Yeah, just started.
Where's your coat and hat?
I left them at the office.
Mary stares at him, aware that something unusual has happened.
What's the matter?
Nothing's the matter. Everything's all right.
Interior living room night, close shot. George slumps into an armchair and lifts Tommy onto his lap. Mary is helping Pete decorate the Christmas tree.
Go on, Pete. You're a big boy. You can put the star up. Way up at the top. That's it. Fill in that little bare spot right there. That's it. Isn't it wonderful about Harry? We're famous, George. I'll bet I had 50 calls today about the parade, the banquet. Oh, your mother's so excited.
During this scene, George has been sitting in the chair, hugging Tommy to him and crying quietly. Mary realizes that something is seriously wrong and breaks off. Janie is thumping away at the piano.
Must she keep playing that?
Well, I have to practice for the party tonight, Daddy.
Mommy says we can stay up till midnight and sing Christmas carols. Can you sing, Daddy?
Oh, better hurry and shave. The families will be here soon.
Families? Oh, I don't want the families over here.
Mary leads him out toward the kitchen.
Come out in the kitchen with me while I finish dinner.
They exit with Tommy hanging onto George's coattails and pulling him. Camera pans with them.
Excuse me.
Interior hall night, close shot as they go toward the kitchen.
Have a hectic day.
Oh, yeah. Another big red letter day for the Baileys.
Daddy, the Browns next door have a new car. You should see it.
Well, what's the matter with our car? Isn't it good enough for you?
Yes, Daddy. Excuse me.
Interior kitchen night. Close shot. They come through the door.
Excuse you for what?
I burped.
All right, darling, you're excused. Now go upstairs and see what little Zuzu wants.
Tommy leaves and Mary turns to the stove.
Zuzu? What's the matter with Zuzu?
Oh, she's got a cold. She's in bed. Caught her coming home from school. They gave her a flower for a prize and she didn't want to crush it, so she didn't button up her coat.
What is it? A sore throat or what?
Oh, just a cold. The doctor says it's nothing serious.
The doctor? Was the doctor here?
Oh, yes, I called him right away. He says it's nothing to worry about.
Is she running a temperature? What is it?
It's just a teensy one, 99.6. She'll be all right.
George paces about in the kitchen, worried.
Gosh, it's this old house. I don't know why we don't all have pneumonia. I mean, this drafty old barn might as well be living in a refrigerator. Why did we have to live here in the first place and stay around this measly, crummy old town?
George, what's wrong?
Wrong? Oh, everything's wrong. You call this a happy family? Why did we have to have all these kids?
Yeah, Dan, how do you spell frankincense?
I don't know. Ask your mother.
George goes toward doorway.
Where are you going?
I'm going up to see Zuzu.
We hear his footsteps as he leaves. Mary looks after him, puzzled and concerned, then comes over to Pete.
He told me to write a play for tonight.
Frankin.
Interior hall night, medium close shot. George starts up the stairs. The knob on the banister comes off in his hand, and for a moment he has an impulse to hurl it into the living room. Then he replaces the knob and goes up the stairs. Interior Zuzu's room night, bedroom. Full shot. The sound of Janie at the piano can be heard, the same monotonous rhythm over and over. Zuzu, age 6, is sitting up on her bed, the lamp burning beside her. She's holding a prize flower. George tiptoes in. Then, as he sees she's awake, he comes over, sitting on the edge of her bed.
Hi, Daddy.
Well, what happened to you?
I want a flower.
She starts to get out of the bed.
Oh, wait now. Where do you think you're going?
I want to give my flower a drink.
All right. All right. Here, give Daddy the flower. I'll give it a drink.
She shakes her head and presses the flower to her. A few petals fall off. She picks them up.
Look, Daddy. Sit.
Yeah. All right. Now I'll paste this together.
She hands him the fallen petals on the flower. He turns his back to Zuzu, pretending to be tinkering with the flower. He sticks the fallen petals into his watch pocket, rearranges the flower, and then turns back to Zuzu.
Oh, there it is. Good as new.
Give the flower a drink.
George puts the flower into the glass of water on the table beside her bed.
Now, will you do something for me?
Close up, George and Zuzu. They whisper.
What?
Will you try to get some sleep?
I'm not sleepy. I want to look at my flower.
I know, but you just go to sleep. And then you can dream about it. And it'll be a whole garden.
It will?
Uh-huh.
She closes her eyes and relaxes on the bed. George pulls the covers over her. He bends down and puts his lips touch the tendril of his child's hair. Then he gets up and tiptoes out of the room. Interior living room night, close shot. Janie is still pounding with grim determination at the piano. Pete is seated at the table writing. Tommy is playing with his toy vacuum cleaner. The telephone rings.
Telephone.
Interior living room night, close shot. Mary comes in and picks up the phone.
Oh, I'll get it. Hello? Yes, this is Mrs. Bailey.
George enters shot and stands listening to her.
Oh, thank you, Mrs. Welch. I'm sure she'll be all right. The doctor says she should be out of bed in time to have her Christmas dinner.
Is that Zuzu's teacher?
Yes.
Let me speak to her.
He snatches the phone from Mary.
Hello? Hello, Mrs. Welch? This is George Bailey. I'm Zuzu's father. Say, what kind of a teacher are you anyway? I mean, what do you mean sending her home like that? I mean, half naked. Do you realize she'll probably end up with pneumonia on account of you?
George,
She puts the restraining hand on his arm. He shakes it off. She cannot know that George's tirade against Mrs. Welch is really a tirade against the world, against life itself, against God. Over the phone, we hear Mrs. Welch's voice sputtering with protest.
Is this the sort of thing we pay taxes for? To have teachers like you? Silly, stupid, careless people who send our kids home without any clothes on. You know, maybe my kids aren't the best dressed kids. Maybe they don't have any decent clothes.
Mary succeeds in wresting the phone from George's hand.
Oh, and that stupid.
Mary speaks quickly into the phone.
Hello, Mrs. Welch. Oh, I want to apologize. Hello? Hello? She's hung up.
I'll hang her up.
But the telephone is suddenly alive with a powerful male voice calling.
Now, who do you think you are?
George hears this and grabs the receiver from Mary.
Wait a minute. Hey, hello? Who is this? Oh, Mr. Welch. Okay, no, that's fine. Mr. Welch, give me a chance to tell you what I really think of your wife.
Mary once more tries to take the phone from him.
George.
Will you get out and let me handle this? Hello? Hello? What? Oh, you will, huh? Oh, okay, Mr. Welch. Anytime you think you're man enough. Hello?
But before he can think of an insult to top Welsh's, we hear click on the phone.
Oh,
He hangs up the receiver and turns toward the living room. His face is flushed and wet.
Daddy, how do you spell hallelujah?
oh, should I know? What do you think I am, a dictionary?
He yells at Tommy, noisily playing with his vacuum cleaner.
Tommy, stop that. Stop it.
Janie is still practicing on the piano, monotonously.
Janie, haven't you learned that silly tune yet? You've played it over and over again. Now stop it. Stop it.
Interior living room night, close shot. The room has suddenly become ominously quiet, the only sound being George's labored breathing. George goes over to the corner of the room where he's working, where his workshop is set up, a drawing table, several models of modern buildings, bridges, etc. Savagely, he kicks over the models, picks up some books and hurls them into a corner. Mary and the children watch, horrified. George looks around and sees them staring at him as if he were some unknown wild animal. The three children are crying.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mary. Janie, I'm sorry. I didn't mean. You go on and practice. Pete, I owe you an apology too. I'm sorry. What do you want to know?
Nothing, Daddy.
Mary and the children stare at him, stunned by his furious outbursts. There is silence in the room.
What's the matter with everybody? Janie, go on. I told you to practice. Now go on, play.
Janie breaks into sobs.
Daddy. George, why must you torture the children? Why don't you?
Sight of Mary and the children suffering is too much for George.
Oh, Mary.
He looks around him, then quickly goes out the front door of the house. Mary goes to the phone, picks it up.
Bedford 247, please.
Is Daddy in trouble?
Shall I pray for him? Yes, Janie, pray very hard.
Me too?
You too, Tommy. Hello, Uncle Billy.
Wipe to interior Potter's office in the bank, night, 8 p.m. Medium close-up. Potter is seated at his desk, his goon beside him. He is signing some papers. George is seated in the chair before his desk without a hat or coat, covered lightly with snow.
I'm in trouble, Mr. Potter. I need help. Through some sort of an accident, my company's short in their accounts. The bank examiner's up there today. I've got to raise $8,000 immediately.
Oh, so is that what the reporters wanted to talk to you about?
The reporters?
Yes, they called me from your building and loan. Oh, there's a man over there from the DA's office too. He's looking for you.
Please help me, Mr. Potter. Help me. Won't you please? Can't you see what it means to my family? I'll pay you any sort of a bonus on the loan, any interest. If you still want the building and loan,
George, could it possibly be there's a slight discrepancy in your books?
no, sir. There's nothing wrong with the books. I've just misplaced $8,000. I can't find it anywhere.
You misplaced $8,000.
Yes, sir.
Have you notified the police?
No, sir. I didn't want the publicity. Harry's homecoming tomorrow.
Huh. They're gonna believe that one. What they've been doing, George, playing the market with your company's money?
No, sir. No, sir, I haven't.
What is it? A woman? Then you know it's all over town that you've been giving money to Violet Bick.
What?
Not that it makes any difference to me, but why did you come to me? Why don't you go to Sam Wainwright and ask him for the money?
I can't. I can't get a hold of him. He's in Europe.
Well, what about your other friends?
They don't have that kind of money. And Mr. Potter, you know that. You're the only one in town that can help me.
I see. I've suddenly become quite important. What kind of security would I have, George? Have you got any stocks?
No, sir.
Bonds, real estate, collateral of any kind?
I have some life insurance. A $15,000 policy.
Yes. How much is your equity in it?
$500.
Look at you. You used to be so cocky. You were going to go out and conquer the world. You once called me a warped, frustrated old man. What are you but a warped, frustrated young man, a miserable little clerk crawling in here on your hands and knees and begging for help? No securities, no stocks, no bonds, nothing but a little $500 equity in a life insurance policy. You're worth more dead than alive. Why don't you go to the riffraff who you love so much and ask them to let you have $8,000? You know why? Because they'd run you out of town on a rail. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you, George. Since the state examiner is still here, as a stockholder of the building and loan, I'm going to swear out a warrant for your arrest. Misappropriation of funds, manipulation, malfeasance.
George turns and starts out of the office as Potter picks up the phone and dials.
All right, George, go ahead. You can't hide in a little town like this.
George is out of the door by now. Camera moves closer to Potter.
Bill, this is Potter.
Exterior. Main Street, Bedford Falls, night. Medium close shot. George comes out of the bank into the falling snow. He crosses the street, tugs at the door of his old car, finally steps over the door and drives off. Exterior, Martini's bar, night. Medium close shot. An attractive little roadside tavern with the name Martini's and neon lights on the front wall. Interior, Martini's bar, night. Close shot. The place is an Italian restaurant with bar. The bottles sparkle. There are Christmas greens and holly decorating the place. It has a warm, welcoming spirit like Martini himself, who is welcoming new arrivals. The booths and the checkered cloth-covered tables are full. There is an air of festivity and friendliness, and more like a party than a public drinking place. George is seated at the bar. He has a great deal to drink. He's had a great deal to drink, far more than he's accustomed to.
Merry Christmas. Glad you came. How about some of that good spaghetti? We got everything.
During this, camera moves closer to George. Nick, the bartender, is watching him solicitously. Whatever. Seated at the other side of George is a burly individual drinking a glass of beer. George is mumbling.
Oh, God, God, dear Father in heaven, I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there, then you can hear me. Show me the way. I'm at the end of my rope. Oh, show me the way, oh, God.
Are you all right, George? You want someone to take you home?
George shakes his head. Martini comes over to his side.
Why you drink so much, my friend? Please go home, Mr. Bailey. This is Christmas Eve.
The ugly man next to George, who's been listening, reacts sharply to the name Bailey.
Bailey? Which Bailey?
This is Mr. George Bailey.
Without any warning, a burly man throws a vicious punch at George, who goes down and out. Martini, Nick, and several others rush to pick him up.
And the next time you talk to my wife like that, you'll get worse. She cried for an hour. It isn't enough that she slaves teaching your stupid kids how to read and write, and you have to bawl her out. You get out of here, Mr. Welch.
Mr. Welch reaches into his pocket for money.
No, wait, I want to pay for my drink. Never mind the money. You get out of here quick. All right. You hit my best friend. Get out.
Nick and Martini shove Welch out the door, then run back to help George with his feet. George's mouth is cut and bleeding.
You all right, George?
Who was that?
He's gone. Don't worry. His name is Welch. He don't come into my place no more.
Oh, Welch. Oh, that's what I get for praying.
The last time he come in here. You hear that, Nick?
Yes, you bet.
Where's my insurance policy? Oh, here.
He starts for the door.
Oh, no, no, no. Please don't go out this way, Mr. Bailey.
I'm all right.
Nick and Martini try to stop him, but he shrugs them off.
Oh, no. You don't feel so good.
I'm all right.
Please don't go away. Please.
George opens the door and exits to the street. Wipe 2. Exterior residential street, night. Medium shot. George's car comes along the empty street, through the falling snow, suddenly swerves and crashes into a tree near the sidewalk of a house. George gets out to look at the damage and savagely kicks at the open door of the car, trying to shut it. The noise brings the owner of the house running out.
What do you think you're doing?
Close shot. George stands unsteadily at the car, shaken by the accident. The front lights are broken and the fender is ripped. George stands dully looking at the damage. The owner comes up, looking at his tree. He leans over to examine the damages.
Well, now look what you did. My great-grandfather planted this tree.
George staggers off down the street, paying no attention to the man.
Hey, you come back here. You drunken fool. Get this car out of here.
Exterior bridge over river, night, medium long shot. George is crossing the approach to the bridge when a truck swings around the corner and nearly hits him.
Hey, what's the matter with you? Look where you're going.
The truck turns into the bridge and George takes a narrow walk at the railings. Close shot. George is stopped by the railing at the center of the bridge. The snow is now falling hard. Exterior river, night. Close shot. Camera shooting down from George's angle to water, dotted with floating ice passing under the bridge. Exterior bridge at railing, night. Close up, George. He stares down at the water, desperate, trying to make up his mind to act. He leans over, looking at the water, fascinated, glances furtively around him, hunches himself as though he were about to jump. Medium close shot. From above, George sees a body hurtles past and lands in the water with a loud splash. George looks down, terrified.
Help! Help!
George quickly takes off his coat and dives in over the railing into the water, closer angle. George comes up, sees a man flailing about in the water, and camera pans with him as he swims toward the man.
Help! Help! Help!
Exterior toll house on bridge, night, close shot. The toll house keeper, hearing the cries for help, comes running out onto the bridge with a flashlight, which he shines on the two figures struggling in the water below. Exterior river, night, close shot. The man in the water is Clarence, the angel whose voice we have heard speaking from heaven. George reaches him, grabs hold of him, and starts swimming for the shore. Wipe 2. Interior, toll house on bridge, night, medium shot, George, Clarence, and the toll keeper. George is seated before the wood-burning stove, which his clothes are drying on a line. He is in his long winter underwear and is sipping a mug of hot coffee, staring at the stove, cold, gloomy, and drunk, ignoring Clarence and the toll keeper. Preoccupied by his near suicide and his unsolved problems, Clarence is standing on the other side of the stove, putting on his undershirt. This is a ludicrous 17th century garment, which looks like a baby's nightshirt. It's with embroidered cuffs and collar, and gathered at the neck with a drawstring. It falls below his knees. The toll keeper is seated against the wall, eyeing them suspiciously. Throughout the next scene, he attempts to spit, but each time is stopped by some amazing thing Clarence does or says. Clarence becomes aware that his garment is amazing, the toll keeper.
I didn't have time to get some stylish underwear. My wife gave this to me on my last birthday. I passed away in it.
The toll keeper, about to spit, is stopped in the middle of it by this remark. Clarence, secretly trying to get George's attention, now picks up a copy of Tom Sawyer, which is hanging on the line, drying. He shakes the book.
Oh, Tom Sawyer is drying out too. You should read the new book of Mark Twain's writing now.
The toll keeper stares at him incredulously. How did you happen to fall in?
I didn't fall in. I jumped in to save George.
George looks up surprised.
Well,
You what? To save me?
well, I did, didn't I? You didn't go through with it, did you?
Go through with what?
Suicide.
George and the toll keeper react to this. It's against the law to commit suicide around here.
Yeah, it's against the law where I come from too.
Where do you come from? He leans forward to spit, but is stopped by Clarence's next statement.
Heaven. I had to act quickly. That's why I jumped in. I knew if I were drowning, you'd try to save me. And you see, you did. And that's how I saved you.
The toll keeper becomes increasingly nervous. George casually looks at the strange, smiling little man a second time.
Very funny.
Your lips bleeding, George.
George's hand goes to his mouth.
Yeah. I got a bust in the jaw in answer to a prayer a little bit ago.
Oh, no. I'm the answer to your prayer. That's why I was sent down here.
Ah, and how do you know my name?
Oh, I know all about you. I've watched you grow up from a little boy.
What are you, a mind reader or something?
Oh, no.
Well, who are you then?
Clarence Oddbody, AS2.
Oddbody, AS2. What's that, AS2?
Angel, second class.
The toll keeper's chair slips out from under him with a crash. He has been leaning against the wall on it. Tipped back on two legs, toll keeper rises and makes his way warily out the door. From his expression, he looks like he'll call the nearest cop.
Cheerio, my good man.
George rubs his head with his hand to clear his mind.
Oh, brother. I wonder what Martini put in those drinks.
He looks up at Clarence, standing beside him.
Hey, what's with you? What did you say just a minute ago? Why'd you want to save me?
That's what I was sent down for. I'm your guardian angel.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
Ridiculous of you to think of killing yourself for money. $8,000?
Yeah, just things like that. Now, how'd you know that?
I told you, I'm your guardian angel. I know everything about you.
Well, you look about like the kind of an angel I'd get, sort of a fallen angel, aren't you? What happened to your wings?
Oh, I haven't won my wings yet. That's why I'm an angel second class.
I don't know whether I like it very much being seen around with an angel without any wings.
Oh, I've got to earn them. And you'll help me, won't you?
Sure, sure. How?
By letting me help you.
Only one way you can help me. You don't happen to have $8,000 or 8,000 bucks on you.
Oh, no, no, no. We don't use money in heaven.
Oh, that's right. I keep forgetting. Comes in pretty handy down here, Bob.
Oh,
I found it out just a little late, really. I'm worth more dead than alive.
now look. You mustn't talk like that. I won't get my wings with that attitude. You just don't know all that you've done. If it hadn't been for you,
Yeah, if it hadn't been for me, everybody'd be a lot better off. My wife and my kids and my friends. Look, little fellow, go off and haunt somebody else, will you?
no, you don't understand. I've got my job.
Oh, shut up, will you?
Clarence is not getting far with George. He glances up, paces across the room thoughtfully.
This isn't going to be easy. So, you still think killing yourself would make everyone feel happier, eh?
Oh, I don't know. I guess you're right. I suppose it would have been better if I'd never been born at all.
What'd you say?
I said I wish I'd never been born.
Oh, you mustn't say things like that. You. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That's an idea. What do you think? Yeah, that'll do it. All right. You got your wish. You've never been born.
As Clarence speaks this line, the snow stops falling outside the building. A strong wind springs up, which blows open the door to the shack. Clarence runs to close the door.
You don't have to make all that fuss about it.
As Clarence speaks, George cocks his head curiously, favoring his deaf ear, more interested in his hearing than in what Clarence has said.
What did you say?
You've never been born. You don't exist. You haven't a care in the world.
George feels his ear as Clarence talks.
No worries, no obligations, no $8,000 to get, no Potter looking for you with the sheriff.
Close up, George and Clarence. George indicates his bad ear.
Say something else in that ear.
Sure, you can hear out of it.
Well, that's the doggonest thing. I haven't heard anything out of that ear since I was a kid. Must have been that jump in the cold water.
Your lips stopped bleeding too, George.
George feels his lip, which shows no sign of the recent cut he received from Welsh. He's now thoroughly confused.
What do you know about that? What's happened?
Medium close shot. George looks around, as though to get his bearings.
It stopped snowing, but hasn't it? I mean, what's happened here? Come on. As soon as these clothes of ours are dry.
Our clothes are dry.
George feels the clothes on the line.
What do you know about that? I mean, stove's hotter than I thought. Now, come on. Get your clothes on and we'll stroll up to get to my car and get.
They start dressing. George interrupts himself.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll stroll and you fly.
I can't fly. I haven't got any wings.
You haven't got your wings. Yeah, that's right.
Wipe 2. Exterior street night. Medium shot. This is the same empty street where George's car swerved into the tree near the sidewalk. George and Clarence come into shot and up to the spot where George had left his car smashed against the tree. George looks around, but his car is nowhere to be seen, and the tree is undamaged.
What's the matter?
Well, this is where I left my car, and
You have
it
no
isn't
car.
here.
You have no car.
Well, I had a car, and it was right here. And I guess somebody moved it.
Close shot at curb. The owner of the house passes with some Christmas packages under his arm.
Good evening.
Oh, say, hey, where's my car?
I beg your pardon.
My car. My car. I'm the fellow that was, owns a car that ran into your tree.
What tree?
What do you mean, what tree? This tree. Here, I ran into it. Got a big gash in the side of it. Here.
The owner bends down to examine the trunk of the tree, then straightens up and smells George's breath. He backs away.
You must mean two other trees. You had me worried. One of the oldest trees in Pottersville.
Pottersville? What, you must mean Bedford Falls.
No, I mean Pottersville. Don't you think I know where I live? What's the matter with you?
The owner proceeds towards his house. George is completely bewildered.
Oh, I don't know. Either I'm off my nut or he is. Or you are.
It isn't me.
Well, maybe I left the car up at Martini's. Well, come on, Gabriel.
He puts his arm around Clarence, and they start off up the road.
Clarence.
Clarence. Clarence?
Wipe to interior Nick's Bar night, close shot. It is Martini's place, but almost unrecognizable. The cheerful Italian feeling is gone. It's now more of a hard drinking joint, a honky-tonk. Same bar. Tables have no covers. People are lowered down and tougher. Nick, the bartender, is behind the bar. George and Clarence come in. George does not notice the difference, but Clarence is all eyes and beaming. They go up to the bar.
Well, that's all right. Go on in. Martini's a good friend of mine.
Two people leave the bar as they approach.
There's a place to sit down. Sit down.
Medium close-up. Nick is wiping off the bar as they sit down.
Oh, hello, Nick. Hey, where's Martini?
You want a martini?
No, no. Martini, your boss, where is he?
Look, I'm the boss. You want a drink or don't you?
Okay, all right. Double bourbon, quick, huh?
Okay, what's yours? I was just thinking, it's been a long time since I... Look, mister, I'm standing here waiting for you to make up your mind. That's a good man. I was just thinking of a flaming rum punch. No, it's not cold enough for that. Not nearly cold enough for that. Wait a minute. I got a mulled wine, heavy on the cinnamon, light on the cloves. Off with you, me lad, and be lively. Hey, look, mister. We serve hard drinks in here for men who want to get drunk fast, and we don't need any characters around to give the joint atmosphere. Is that clear? Or do I have to slip you my left for a convincer?
As he says this, Nick leans over the counter and puts his left fist nearly in Clarence's eye. Clarence is puzzled by this conduct.
What's he talking about?
Nick, just give him the same as mine. He's okay.
Okay.
Nick turns away to get the drinks.
What's the matter with you? I never saw Nick act like that before.
You'll see a lot of strange things from now on.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, little fella, you worry me. You got someplace to sleep?
Nope.
Oh, you don't, huh? Well, you got any money?
Nick is listening suspiciously to this conversation.
No.
No wonder you jumped in the river.
I jumped in the river to save you, so I could get my wings.
Nick stops pouring the drinks, bottle poised in his hand.
Oh, that's right.
A cash register bell rings off the stage. Clarence reacts to the sound of the bell.
Uh-oh, somebody's just made it.
Made what?
Every time you hear a bell ring, it means some angel's got his wings.
George glances up at Nick.
Look, I think maybe you better not mention getting your wings around here.
Why? Don't you believe in angels?
Yeah, but you know.
Then why should it be surprised when they see one?
Well, he never grew up. He's how old are you anyway, Clarence?
293. Next May.
Angel?
Oh, sorry. And Nick slams the bottle down on the counter.
That does it. Out, you two pixies, go through the door and out or out the window.
Look, Nick, what's wrong?
And that's another thing. Where do you come off calling me Nick?
Well, Nick, that's your name, isn't it?
What's that got to do with it? I don't know you from Adam's ox. Hey, you, Rummy, come here. Come here.
Close shot. A small wreck of a man with weak, watery eyes, obviously a broken down panhandler. His hat in his hand. Close up George. He can hardly believe his eyes. It's the Gower. It is Gower, the druggist. Back to shot, Nick at the bar.
Didn't I tell you to never come panhandling around here?
Nick picks up a seltzer bottle and squirts Gower in the face with it. The crowd laugh brutally. Gower smiles weakly as the soda runs off his face. Close shot. George, horrified, leaps up and goes over to Gower.
Mr. Gower, Mr. Gower. Oh, this is George Bailey. Don't you know me?
No, no.
Throw him out. Throw him out.
Bouncers throw Gower out of the front door. George rushes back to the bar.
Hey, what is it? Hey, Nick, isn't that Mr. Gower, the druggist?
You know, that's another reason for me not to like you. That rumhead spent 20 years in jail for poisoning my kid. If you know him, you must be a jailbird yourself. Would you show these gentlemen to the door? Sure, this way, gentlemen.
Exterior Nick's bar night. Close shot. George and Clarence come flying through the door and land in the snow. Interior Nick's bar night. Close shot. Nick at the cash register, busily ringing the bell.
Hey, get me. I'm giving out wings.
Exterior Nick's bar night. Close shot. George and Clarence lying in the snow. George has a strange puzzled look on his face. They remain for a moment as they landed, looking at each other.
You see, George, you're not there to stop Gower from putting the poison into the...
What do you mean I wasn't there? I remember distinctly.
George catches a glimpse of the front of the building with the neon sign over it. It now reads Nick's Place instead of Martini's. George and Clarence get to their feet.
What the? Hey, what's going on around here? Why, this ought to be Martini's place.
He points to the sign and looks at Clarence. Clarence sort of hangs his head. George fixes him with a very interested look.
Look, who are you?
I told you, George, I'm your guardian angel.
George, still looking at him, goes up to him and pokes his arm. It's flesh.
Yeah, I know. You told me that. What else are you? What? Are you a hypnotist?
No, of course not.
Well, then, why am I seeing all these strange things?
Don't you understand, George? It's because you were not born.
Then, if I wasn't born, who am I?
You're nobody. You have no identity.
George rapidly searches his pockets for identification, but without success.
What do you mean, no identity? My name's George Bailey.
There is no George Bailey. You have no papers, no cards, no driver's license, no 4F card, no insurance policy.
George looks in his watch pocket.
They're not there either.
What?
Zuzu's pedals.
George feverishly continues to search his pockets inside out.
You've been given a great gift, George. A chance to see what the world would be like without you.
George is completely befuddled.
Now, wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. As this is some sort of a funny dream I'm having here. Oh, so long, mister. I'm going home.
He starts off. Clarence rises.
Home? What home?
Oh, now shut up. Cut it out. You're crazy. That's what I think. You're screwy and you're driving me crazy too. I'm seeing things. I'm going home to see my wife and family. Do you understand that? And I'm going home alone.
George strides off hurriedly. Clarence slowly follows him, glancing up toward heaven as he goes.
How am I doing, Joseph? Thanks. No, I didn't have a drink.
Wipe to exterior street night, medium shot. George moves into the scene. The sign bearing the name of the town reads Pottersville. George looks at it in surprise, then starts up the street toward the main part of town. As he goes, camera moves with him. The character of the place is completely changed. Where before it was a quiet, orderly small town, it has now become in nature like a frontier village. We see a series of shots of nightclubs, cafes, bars, liquor stores, pool halls, and the like, with blaring jazz music issuing from the majority of them. The motion picture theater has become a burlesque house. Gower's drugstore is now a pawnbroker's establishment, and so on. Close shot. George stops before what used to be the office of the building. Could you put it? Okay, thanks.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. There is a garish electrical sign over the entrance reading, "Welcome Jitterbugs." A crowd of people are watching the police, who are raiding the place and dragging out a number of screaming women, whom they throw into a patrol wagon. George talks to one of the cops.
Hey, where did the building and loan move to?
The building and what?
The Bailey building and loan. It was up there.
Oh, they went out of business years ago.
Medium close-up. George sees the struggling figure of Violet Bick, arrayed as a tart, being dragged to the patrol wagon.
Hey, Violet. Hey, listen. That's Violet. That's Violet.
I know.
Well, I know that girl.
The cop shoves George to one side. He looks around and sees Ernie's taxi cruising slowly by.
Hey, Ernie.
Exterior street night, close shot. Ernie stops the cab and George enters it.
Ernie, take me home. I'm off my nut.
Where do you live?
Oh, now, doggone it, Ernie. Don't you start pulling that stuff. I mean, you know where I live. 32 Sycamore. Now hurry up.
Okay. 23 Sycamore.
Oh, 32. Yeah,
320.
hurry up. Zuzu's sick.
All right.
He pulls down the flag on the meter and starts the cab. Interior cab night, medium close-up. George and Ernie. Ernie is puzzled by the stranger.
Look here, Ernie. Straighten me out here. I've got some bad liquor or something. Listen to me now. Now, you are Ernie Bishop, and you live in Bailey Park with your wife and kid. That's right, isn't it?
You seen my wife?
Seen your wife? I've been to your house 100 times.
Look, bud, what's the idea? I live in a shack in Potter's Field, and my wife ran away 3 years ago and took the kid. And I ain't never seen you before in my life.
Okay. Oh, just step on it and just get me home.
Ernie turns to driving, but he's worried about his passenger. As he passes the burlesque house, he sees Bert, the cop, standing beside the police car. Attracting his attention, he motions to Bert to follow him, indicating that he is a nut in the back. Bert gets into his car and follows. Wipe 2, exterior George's house night, medium long shot. The taxi pulls up to the curb and stops. Medium close shot. The cab is parked. George gets out and looks at the house.
Is this the place?
Of course it's a place.
Well, this house hasn't been lived in, and this house ain't been lived in for 20 years.
Exterior house night, medium shot. George is stopped momentarily by the appearance of the house. Windows are broken. The porch sags. One section of the roof has fallen. Doors and shutters hang askew on their hinges. Like a doomed man, George approaches the house. Exterior cab night, medium shot, close shot. The police car is pulled up beside the cab, and Bert and Ernie stand watching George's reactions.
What's up, Ernie?
I don't know, but we better keep an eye on this guy. He's bats.
Ernie switches on the spotlight on his cab and turns the beam toward the old house. Interior, hallway George's house night. close shot. The interior of the house is lit up here and there, ghost-like, by Ernie's spotlight. No furniture, cobwebs, wallpaper hanging and swinging. Stairs are broken and collapsed. In a voice that sounds like a cry for help, George yells out,
Mary, Mary, Tommy, Pete, Janie, Suzu, where are you?
Clarence suddenly appears leaning against the wall.
They're not here, George. You have no children.
Where are you? What have you done with them?
Interior doorway, night, close shot. Bert is standing in the entrance with his gun in his hand. Ernie is a few feet behind him, ready to run.
All right. Put up your hands. No fast moves. Come on out here, both of you.
Bert, oh, thank heaven you're here.
He rushes toward Bert.
Stand back.
Bert, what's happened to this house? Where's Mary? Where's my kids?
Watch him, Bert.
Come on. Come on.
Bert, Ernie, what's the matter with you two guys? You were here on my wedding night. You, both of you stood out here on the porch and sung to us. Don't you remember?
Think I better get going.
Look. Now why don't you be a good kid and we'll take you into a doctor. Everything's going to be all right.
Bert tries to lead George away by the arm, but George struggles with him, trying to explain.
Bert, now listen to me. Ernie, will you take me over to my mother's house? Bert, listen. It's that fellow there. He says he's an angel. He's trying to hypnotize me.
I hate to do this, fella.
Bert raises his gun to hit George on the head, but as he does so, Clarence darts in and fixes his teeth in Bert's wrists, forcing him to let George go.
Run, George, run! George!
George dashes out of the house and down the street. As Bert grapples with Clarence, they fall to the ground wrestling. We see Bert kneeling, trying to put handcuffs on Clarence.
Help, Joseph, help! Oh, shut up. Help! Oh, Joseph! Help! Help! Joseph!
Suddenly, Clarence vanishes from under Bert's hands. Bert gets up, amazed by his vanishing.
Where'd he go? Where'd he go? I had him right here.
Ernie's hair is now standing on end with fright.
Oh, I need a drink.
He runs out of the scene.
Well, which way'd they go? Help me find them.
Exterior Bailey home night, medium shot. George runs up the path to the front door of the house and raps on the door. He rings the bell and taps on the glass, when his attention is caught by a sign on the wall reading Miss Ma Bailey's boarding house.
I don't
Medium
think we have
close-up.
them.
George at the door. The door opens and a woman appears. It is Mrs. Bailey, but she has changed amazingly. Her face is harsh and tired. In her eyes, once kindly and understanding, there is now cold suspicion. She gives no sign that she knows him.
Well,
Mother,
Mother, what do you want?
It is crucial, a cruel blow to George.
Mother, this is George. I thought sure you'd remember me.
George who? If you're looking for a room, there's no vacancy.
He starts to close the door, but George stops her.
Oh, Mother, please help me. Something terrible's happened to me. I don't know what it is. Something's happened to everybody. Please, let me come in. Keep me here until I get over it.
Get over what? I don't take in strangers unless they're sent here by somebody I know.
Well, I know everybody you know. Your brother-in-law, Uncle Billy.
You know him?
Well, sure I do.
When'd you see him last?
Well, today over at the house.
Oh, that's a lie. He's been in the insane asylum ever since he lost his business. And if you ask me, that's where you belong.
He slams the door shut in George's face. Exterior house night, medium close shot. George stands a moment, stunned. Then he turns and runs out to the sidewalk until his face fills the screen. His features are distorted by the emotional chaos within him. We see Clarence leaning on the mailbox at the curb, holding his volume of Tom Sawyer in his hand.
Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. And when he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?
I've heard of things like this. You've got me in some kind of a spell or something. I mean, well, I'm going to get out of it. I'll get out of it. I know how. I know how too. The last man I talked to before all this stuff started happening to me was Martini.
You know where he lives.
Sure, I know where he lives. He lives in Bailey Park.
They walk out of the scene. Wipe 2. Exterior cemetery night. Medium shot. George and Clarence approach the tree from which the Bailey Park sign once hung. Now it is just outside a cemetery with graves where the houses used to be.
Are you sure this is Bailey Park?
Oh, I'm not sure of anything anymore. All I know is this should be Bailey Park. But where are the houses?
The 2 walk into the cemetery.
You weren't there to build them.
Close moving shot. George wandering like a lost soul among the tombstones. Clarence trottering at his heels. Again, George stops to stare with frightening eyes. Close shot, the tombstone. Upon its engraving, it is engraved a name, Harry Bailey. Feverishly, George scrapes away the snow, covering the rest of the inscription. And we read, in memory of our beloved son, Harry Bailey, 1911 to 1919. Close shot, George and Clarence.
Your brother, Harry Bailey, broke through the ice and was drowned at the age of 9.
George jumps up.
That's a lie. Harry Bailey went to war. He got the Congressional Medal of Honor. He saved the lives of every man on that transport.
Every man on that transport died. Harry wasn't there to save them because you weren't there to save Harry. You see, George, you really had a wonderful life. Don't you see what a mistake it would be to throw it all away?
Close up, George and Clarence.
Clarence,
Yes, George.
where's Mary?
Oh, well, I can't.
I don't know how you know these things, but tell me, where is she?
George grabs Clarence by the coat collar and shakes him.
If you know where she is, tell me where my wife is.
I'm not supposed to tell.
Please, Clarence, tell me where she is.
You're not going to like it, George.
Where is she?
She's an old maid. She never married.
Where's Mary? Where is she? Where is she?
She's just about to close up for the library.
George lets Clarence go and runs off. Clarence falls to the ground where he rubs his neck.
There must be an easier way for me to get my wings.
Wipe 2, exterior library, night, close shot. Mary comes out of the door, then turns and locks it. We see George watching her from the sidewalk. Mary's very different. No buoyancy in her walk. None of Mary's abandon and love of life. Glasses, no makeup, lips compressed, elbows close to body. She looks flat and dried up and extremely self-satisfied and efficient. Close up. George as he watches her. Close shot. George and Mary on the sidewalk.
Mary.
She looks up, surprised, but not recognizing him, continues on.
Mary.
Mary starts to run away from him, and he follows desperately.
Mary. Mary.
He catches up to her, grabs her by the arm, and keeps a tight grip on her. She struggles to free herself.
Mary, it's George. Don't you know me? What's happened to me?
I don't know you. Let me go.
Mary, please. Oh, don't do this to me. Please, Mary, help me. Where's our kids? I need you. Mary, help me, Mary.
Mary breaks away from him and dashes into the first door she comes to in a Blue Moon bar. Interior Blue Moon night, close shot. Small table, booths, perhaps a counter. It is crowded. Many of the people are the same people who were present during the run on the building loan. Mary comes running in, screaming. The place goes into an uproar. George comes in, practically insane. Some of the men grab and hold on to him.
Mary! Let me go. Mary, don't run away.
Somebody call the police.
Hit him with the bottle.
He needs a straitjacket.
That man, stop him.
Mom, Ed, Charlie, that's my wife.
Mary lets out a final scream, then faints into the arms of a couple of women at the bar.
Mary,
Oh, no, you don't.
Mary.
George can't fight through the men holding him. Desperately, he thinks of Clarence and heads for the door.
Clarence, Clarence, where are you?
Exterior sidewalk night, close shot. Just as George breaks through the door, Bert arrives in his police car. He gets out and heads for the door to run into George as he comes out.
Oh, it's you.
He grabs for George, who lets him have one square on the button, knocking him down. Then continues running down the street, yelling for Clarence. Bert gets up, takes out his gun, and fires several shots after the fleeing figure.
Stand back.
George gets into the police car, and siren screaming sets off into pursuit of George. Wipe 2. Exterior bridge over the river, night, medium shot. The same part of the bridge where George was standing before Clarence jumped in. The wind is blowing as it has all throughout this sequence. George comes running into a shot. He's frantically looking for Clarence.
Clarence? Clarence, help me, Clarence. Get me back. Get me back. I don't care what happens to me. Only get me back to my wife and kids. Help me, Clarence. Please, please. I want to live again.
Close up, George leaning on the bridge railing, praying.
I want to live again. I want to live again. Oh, please, God, let me live again.
George sobs. Suddenly, toward the end of the above, the wind dies down. A soft, gentle snow begins to fall. Close shot, George sobbing at the railing. Police car pulls up on the railway behind him, and Bert comes into the scene.
Hey, George. George, you all right?
George backs away and gets set to hit Bert again.
Hey, what's the matter?
Now get out of here, Bert, or I'll hit you again. Get out.
What in the Sam Hill you yelling for, George?
Don't. George?
George talks hopefully. George touches Bert unbelievably. George's mouth is bleeding again.
Bert, do you know me?
Know you? You kidding? I've been looking all over town to find you. I saw your car piled into the tree down there, and I thought maybe. Hey, your mouth is bleeding. Are you sure you're all right?
What did...
George touches his lip with his tongue, wipes his mouth with his hand, laughs happily. His rapture knows no bounds.
My mouth's bleeding, Bert. My mouth's bleeding. Suzu's pedals. Suzu's. They're here. Oh, Bert, what do you know about that? Oh, Merry Christmas.
He practically embraces the astonished Bert, then runs at top speed toward town. Long shot. George runs away from the camera, yelling.
Mary, Mary.
Wipe 2. Exterior residential street night. Close shot. George's wrecked car is smashed against the tree. He comes running into shot, sees the car, lets out a triumphant yell, pats the car, and dashes on. Exterior Main Street, Bedford Falls night. Close shot. George sees that the Pottersville sign is now replaced by the original "You are now in Bedford Falls" sign.
Hello, Bedford Falls.
He turns and runs through the falling snow up the main street of the town. As he runs, he notices that the town is back in its original appearance. He passes some late shoppers on the street.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas,
Christmas,
George.
Exterior theater night. Pan shot as George runs by.
Merry Christmas, movie house.
Exterior Bedford Falls Emporium night. Pan shot as George runs by.
Merry Christmas, Emporium.
Exterior building and loans office night. Pan shot as George runs by.
Merry Christmas, you wonderful old building and loan.
Exterior bank night. Close shot. George notices a light in the Potter's office window and races across the street. Interior Potter's office night. Close shot. Potter is seated, working on his desk, his goon by his side. George pounds at the window.
Merry Christmas, Mr. Potter.
George runs off as Potter looks up from his work.
Happy New Year to you in jail. Go on home. They're waiting for you.
Interior George's home night. The lights are on. There's a fire in the fireplace. The Christmas tree is fully decorated with presents stacked around. Interior entrance hall night. Close shot. Carter, the bank examiner, a newspaper reporter, and photographer, and the sheriff are waiting at the hall for George. George comes dashing in the front door.
Mary. Oh, well, hello, Mr. Bank Examiner.
He grabs his hand and shakes it. Mr. Bailey, there's a deficit.
I know, $8,000.
George, I've got a little paper here.
Oh, I'll bet. It's a warrant for my arrest. Isn't it wonderful? Merry Christmas.
Photographer sets off a flashbulb.
Oh, reporters. Where's Mary? Mary?
George runs to the kitchen. He gets no answer. As he goes,
Oh, look at this wonderful old drafty house. Mary, Mary,
he comes running back to the hall.
have you seen my wife?
Merry Christmas, Daddy.
Merry Christmas, Daddy.
Interior stairs night, medium shot. The three children are at the top of the stairs. They are in their pajamas.
Oh, kids.
George starts to run up the stairs, and the old familiar knob on the banister comes up in his hand. He kisses it lovingly and puts it back, then continues up the stairs.
Facts, pets, kids, Janie, Tommy. I could eat you up.
Top of stairs, night, close shot. And George and the kids, he's hugging them.
And where's your mother?
She went looking for you with Uncle Billy.
Susie comes running out of her bedroom. George crushes her to him.
Daddy.
Suzu. Oh, my little ginger snap. How do you feel?
Fine.
And not a
And-
smidge of temperature.
Not a snitch of tip.
Interior hall night, close shot. As Mary comes through the door, breathless and excited, the four men are watching with open mouths.
Hallelujah.
Hello? Oh, George, darling.
Interior stairs night, Mary, close shot. Mary races up the stairs where George meets her in a fierce embrace.
Oh, Mary.
George, darling, where have you been?
George and Mary embrace tearfully.
Oh, George.
Oh, Mary. Oh, let me touch you. Oh, you're real.
Oh, George.
Oh, you have no idea what's happened to me.
You have no idea what happened.
He stops her with a kiss. She leads him excitedly down the stairs.
Well, come on, George. Come on downstairs quick. They're on their way.
All right.
Interior living room night, close shot. Mary leads George, who is carrying a couple of the kids on his back, to a position in front of the Christmas tree.
Now, come on in here now. Now you stand right here over by the tree. Right there. And don't move. Don't move. I hear him now, George. It's a miracle. It's a miracle.
She runs toward the front door and flings it open. Ad-lib sounds of an excited crowd can be heard. Uncle Billy, face flushed, covered with snow, and carrying a clothes basket filled with money, bursts in. He is followed by Ernie and about 20 more townspeople.
Oh, come in, Uncle Billy. Everybody in here.
Uncle Billy, Mary, and the crowd come into the living room. A table stands in front of George. George picks up Zuzu to protect her from the mob. Uncle Billy dumps a basket full of money out onto the table. Money overflows and falls all over.
Isn't it wonderful?
The rest of the crowd all greet George with greetings and smiles. Each one comes forward with money in their pockets, in shoe boxes, in coffee pots. Money pours out onto the table. Pennies, dimes, quarters, dollar bills, and small money, but lots of it. Mrs. Bailey and Mr. Hatch push toward George. More people come in. The place becomes a bedlam. Shouts of gangway, as a new bunch come in and pours out its money. Mary stands next to George, watching him. George stands there, overcome and speechless as he holds Zuzu. As he sees the familiar faces, he gives them sick grins. Tears course down his face. His lips frame their names as he greets them.
Oh, Mary did it, George. Mary did it. She told a few people you were in trouble, and they scattered all over town collecting money. They didn't ask any questions, just said, if George is in trouble, count on me. You never saw anything like it.
Tom comes in, digging in his purse as he comes. What is this, George? Another run on the bank? Charlie adds his money to the pile.
Here you are, George. Merry Christmas.
Ernie is trying to get some system into the chaos.
The line forms on the right.
Mr. Martini comes in bearing a mixing bowl overflowing with cash.
Mr. Martini, Merry Christmas. Step right up here.
Martini dumps his money on the table.
I busted the jukebox too.
Mr. Gower enters with a large glass jar jammed full of notes. Ernie?
It's me. Mr. Gower. I made the rounds of my charge accounts.
Violet Bick arrives and takes out the money George had given her for the trip to New York.
Violet Bick?
I'm not going to go, George. I changed my mind.
Annie, the colored maid, enters, digging money out of the long black stocking.
I've been saving this money for a divorce, if I ever get a husband.
Mr. Partridge, the high school principal, is the next donor. Oh, that's me. There you are, George. I got the faculty up, all out of bed. And here's something for you to play with. Man.
I
I
wouldn't have
witnessed. Go ahead.
I wouldn't have a roof over my head if it wasn't for you, George.
Ernie is reading a telegram he just received.
Oh, just a minute. Quiet, everybody. Quiet, quiet. Hell, this is from London. Mr. Gower cables you need cash. Stop. My office instructed to advance you up to $25,000. Stop. Hee haw and Merry Christmas, Sam Wainwright.
The crowd breaks into a cheer as Ernie drops a telegram on top of the pile of money on the table.
Mr. Martini, how about some wine?
Sorry, I got choked up. Someone else can read.
As various members of the families bring out a punch bowl and glasses, Janie sits down at the piano and strikes out a chord. She starts playing Hark the Herald Angels Sing, and the entire crowd joins in the singing. We see a series of shots of the various groups singing the hymn, and some people are still coming in and dropping their money on the table. Carter, the bank examiner, makes a donation. The sheriff sheepishly looks at George and tears his warrant into small pieces. In the midst of the scene, Harry, in naval uniform, enters, accompanied by Bert the cop. I'm not sure I cast Harry.
Hello, George. How are you?
Harry. Oh, Harry.
Mary, looks like I got here too late. Mary, I got him here from the airport as quickly as I could. The fool flew all the way here in a blizzard.
Mrs. Bailey enters scene.
Harry, how about your banquet in New York?
Oh, I left that right in the middle as soon as I got Mary's telegram.
Ernie hands Harry a glass of water.
Good idea, Ernie. A toast to my big brother, George, the richest man in town.
Once more, the crowd breaks into cheering and applause. Janie at the piano and Bert on his accordion start playing Auld Lang Syne, and everybody joins in. Close shot. George, still holding Zuzu in his arms, glancing down at the pile of money on the table. His eye catches something on top of the pile. He reaches down for it. It's Clarence's copy of Tom Sawyer. George opens it and finds an inscription written in it. Dear George, remember, no man is a failure who has friends. Thanks for the wings. Love, Clarence.
What's that?
Oh, that's a Christmas present from a very dear friend of mine.
At this moment, perhaps because of the jostling of some of the people on the other side of the tree, a little silver bell on the Christmas tree swings to and fro with a silvery tinkle. Zuzu closes the cover of the book and points to the bell.
Look, Daddy. Teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right.
He looks up toward the ceiling and winks.
Attaboy, Clarence.
The voice of the people singing swell into a final crescendo for the fade out, the end.
Yeah.
What the heck?
There you go. It's good.
I know the
It
story.
proves it.
And you still
That's-
cry.
Stupid.
It's not stupid. I do that all the time too. Vicky's crying too. See?
I'm not gonna admit it.
Ridiculous.
Sometimes with a story I'm familiar with, I'll start crying before the scene, the crying scene, whatever that might be, because I know it's coming.
Well, when yeah, I know the story, but it's like yeah, like you say. And when each little thing that like all the people that Harry saved no longer there. So anyways,
Yeah,
now
I
they're
think
back.
I think my favorite part, and of course, when it was written, it didn't mean anything, but the Ernie and Bert.
I know.
That was
This came
just
first, right?
great.
So this came first, and that's where they got it from, probably.
I think it's
I'm-
just coincidence.
I think they must have gotten it from this. That's my guess.
Could have been either way. I was wondering the same thing.
I'm looking up something. I don't know how
The age?
right it is. Well, it's a Muppet Wiki asking that exact question.
Mm-hmm.
It shows that they were named after the two characters in It's a Wonderful Life.
Ah,
Oh.
see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right. Never mind. There has never been official confirmation of the statement.
Mm.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Sorry. I shouldn't just say things from the beginning. Yeah, many in the Henson Company have claimed it's to be merely a coincidence.
I refuse to believe. Cute.
So did anybody watch the movie between the first half and the second half?
I watched it a long time ago.
Not in between the two, I didn't.
Mm.
Only
I had thoughts of doing that, but no, I didn't get to it.
It's different though, having paused right there, because it's I mean, that's not just because it's halfway through, but it's because, the whole thing kind of changes right
Mhm.
about there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very different. Which half do you like better?
The second half.
Yeah,
Why is that?
feels pretty magical for back then, but I mean, they must have been pretty inventive and all of that.
Yeah.
Back then too. It just, yeah.
I kind of like the first half because then you get to see the whole, how George Bailey kind of grows up. I like seeing all that. And the second half it's very stressful until you get to the very, very end.
Yeah.
How about you, Jacob?
I like the angel. No
Clarence.
relation, but I like that he jumps into the water to save him. It's cute.
And that's a nice tie back too to when George jumped in the water when he was young.
Yeah.
So he knows already that he's willing to jump in to save.
Well, I mean,
Right.
Clarence could have picked something else. He could have stepped in front of a car,
Yeah.
or something. But
And I think that goes into screenwriting. Like sometimes when they write a screenplay, they might do the end or the beginning last, or they might rewrite it so that they tie together nicely.
Well, I think it's very important for each of us to remember that we all matter and we're connected to so many people. And if we weren't here, I mean, there'd be a whole bunch of people that life wouldn't have been what it was. And yeah, you all matter, each and every one of you.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah, and the difference that you can make in someone's life.
Yeah.
So, and we lived it, so we may be like downplay the importance, but
And all the differences you wouldn't have made if you're not here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like how this one kind of ties into, Dickens' A Christmas Carol. They kind of show the same thing of not so much the not Scrooge not being there, but how things, because there is some differences when it goes to the future, Christmas future, and you see like Tiny Tim not being there in the future, and then when Scrooge comes back, and he's just as delighted at the things, even though he's not a nice guy in the beginning, he changes partway through and becomes, he's also very glad that he's not dead, and he's back to being alive. So I found that interesting parallel between these two scripts.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which of these were, that's older.
That's older.
Yeah,
That's-
much.
Mhm.
I wonder
That's,
if,
that's Victorian.
yeah, if this got a lot of, must have been inspired somewhat from that, I would imagine. But I was wrong about Bert and Ernie, so.
Can you guys think of like modern film examples that have tried a similar thing?
I'm sure. I mean, there's lots of plays on the Christmas or the Christmas story. Yeah, Scrooge and all that. Lots of variations of that story.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at coming up with.
There's
example.
one I'm thinking of that's similar, not exactly the same, but I always forget the name of it. Has Jim Belushi, and like if he only hit this baseball, that his life would be different.
Oh,
It has the other a great actor in it. So I'm trying to scroll through the stuff on IMDb and I haven't found it yet.
in some ways, like anytime they play with time, like even Back to the Future and maybe Groundhog Day, there's when they're playing with time,
Yeah.
they're looking at what it would be like if you weren't known or if
Mhm.
the things hadn't happened.
It's called Mr. Destiny, was the one I was talking about with Jim
Oh.
Belushi.
Oh, haven't seen it.
That seems, yeah.
It also has Michael Caine in it.
Ooh.
But yeah, like you're right. And like it seems like maybe you were saying the Groundhog's Day, that's more coming from, again, it depends the point of view they come from. Like this was the nice guy, and then
Yeah.
Scrooge, and that one is kind of like the not so nice guy at first, and then
Hmm.
they change it.
And then you have like, the playing with time happens over and over again. You go into sci-fi and then they have all these different rules too on time travel and what you can and can't do. And they try and add in the science behind whether or not you can go back in time or not. And what you can't, if you go back in time, can you change something? How much interaction is too much interaction before you actually change the future? How close can you get? I mean, if you say hello to somebody and then walk away, is that too much change? Or
One
Kind of-
thing in Doctor Who, he said, you can't talk to yourself. Like that's one big bad thing because the time continuum, it kind of, yeah, that messes things up.
he talks to himself all the time in it. But
That's
kind of,
different.
yes, he's a time lord. But kind of what you were saying, Kat, like about how much different, like that's one thing I like right now we're saying the difference it makes of someone being here or not, and all of the ripple effects that they have on the world. People always there's a quote, a meme, everything out there that I love about people always worry about time travel, going to the past and not changing a small little thing because it could make a big difference, have big ripple effects. But then it says, but everyone doesn't realize that they're living that right now, and that the small changes and small things they do right now could have a big impact on their life or others. It's like you're making all those little choices and changes and effects right now. So it's like, yeah.
yeah, people don't think about that, do they? They think everything they're doing now is just kind of somewhat accidental, but
On
going back in
automatic.
time and deliberately, then everything is like very deliberate choices and you think about them. So maybe we need to think about, I don't know, if we are going back in time right now, would we be making these same choices that we're making at this instant?
Well, yeah, and if you think about how much somebody else can make a difference in your life, think about how much difference you can make in your own life and the future you. Because the present you is the one that's setting things up for future you. There's your
Darn you.
yes. There's your New Year's story, whatever. Pitch. I don't know.
There's times I do that too. Like I'll say, "Oh, thank you, former self. You prepared dinner already and you don't have to make it now." Yes.
Oh.
And today it's like, "Oh, former self, you forgot to make dinner today. Now you're going to cook it."
I liked the script.
Did we
Yeah.
think that like this is a recreation of the one back then, or was it a transcribed, or what was before?
I think they did, somebody thought it was transcribed. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's no
There's
shot
something-
numbers listed.
Hmm?
There's no shot numbers listed, but that might be the fact that it's an older script. I don't know if they
Lots of times the shot numbers are when it's like a shooting script.
mhm.
Like it's
And they did
once
mention the shots, a lot of the shots
it did.
that the camera follows, and there's something else I wanted to make mention of. I forgot, and I didn't make a note, so it's gone.
Yeah, there were two things about the script as we were going along at the beginning. Like the two things I was thinking of, like things that I think we're normally not supposed to do. But yeah. But it seemed okay here. What page did we start? 91?
91. Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Out of 165, I think. It's a long script.
Mm-hmm.
169, I think.
Or 69, something. Yeah, it's 160 something. Because it seems like most of the feature-length films we read are shorter than that, than page
Hmm.
numbers.
Yeah.
Yes.
Even
I-
the second half, or less than the second half, I think.
Well,
Was long.
Ideally, they say between like 90 pages and 120 is where the sweet spot would be for a feature script.
Yeah.
Ideally. But there's always exceptions. This one.
Other thoughts?
All the quiet people came today. Where's all our
No other
chatterboxes?
thoughts?
Lovingly referred to as. See why we need you guys?
Need more people join.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you so much for getting this together. Did you both worked on it?
Not
Nope.
this one. I was going to
Mostly.
show Vicky how to do this, but I wanted to get this one out quick.
Yeah,
So
thank
we
you
didn't
for
have a
doing
lot
that.
of time. But we'll have, what is the next one?
Lion, Witch, and the
Oh, in
Wardrobe.
2 weeks.
Yes. The
Narnia.
Chronicles of Narnia one. So we'll
The
have
30th. I think.
a chance to, and I know we'll have some more people for that one because there are some people on there that I know will show up. So we'll have some new faces hopefully showing up for, well, new to some of you.
Were
and-
some of these ones people that you knew, like Clove and
No,
Jocelyn?
the three that signed up today that aren't here, I have no idea. They just hit going, and some of them are signed up for the next one too. So I don't know if they'll show up for that either.
Okay.
But I do know there are some people from two households in Fair Corona that have also. I posted a link on there, so that some of them will be showing up to read
Nice.
as well.
That's good.
So we'll have a few more people next week, or not next week, but in 2 weeks.
Oh, 1 week off.
Yeah, a week
Oh,
off, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I can get caught up on some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. We'll see.
Maybe.
If future you is going to be a nice former pass to you. Just kidding.
Will I thank myself or be cursing myself?
Mhm.
Hopefully thanking.
I think we all need to be kind to ourselves
Yeah,
Yes.
regardless.
Yes.
That's true.
and each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We are human. We're not, robots.
Mhm.
Or maybe angels later.
And then we can ring all the bells. Does this make you want to ring bells? This show?
You're just constantly doing it your whole life.
No. Um, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's cute. It's a cute movie. Oh, I watched something the other day about, so with this, that each individual can have such a huge impact on other people. I watched it was a skit, but I didn't know it was a skit. They did it so well. I thought that it was real. It was based on something that happened to them. So then they recreated it. And it was a man, they were on an airplane. And this couple was kind of fighting. The woman wanted the aisle seat, and because she always gets the middle seat because she's little, and why can't she get the outside seat? And he's like, man, give her the outside seat. Like, it'll make her happy. And if she's happy, you're happy, right? It's like, yeah, okay. So reluctantly switches seats. And then you can see there's an urn beside the guy who says that. I think I should just send it to you guys and put it out there, because it actually made me cry more than this.
Yes,
More than
very
this one.
powerful.
Have you seen it?
Yes,
Yes.
and I don't need to hear it again. I've cried enough tonight.
Aw. But
All right,
I
that's your
think,
guys' spoiler warning that you might cry, but maybe Angel will put it
Yes.
in the comments of this YouTube
I will, because it's
if they
really
watch it, so if you
sweet.
guys want.
I think
Mhm.
that has the power to really create some good change in the world if people take it to heart. And I think it's not spoiling anything by saying, it's just by treating other people, treating each other with kindness, and especially letting the little things go.
Yeah.
And how much of a better world we could live in with that attitude. Loving each other.
Not
Yep.
complaining.
Yeah.
I think people complain a lot sometimes, and you just don't need to, if it's tough, it's just tough. And
I know I am guilty of that sometimes. And I don't recognize it in myself. And then I'm like, oh, oops, I've been really complaining lately. So yeah, it's a good thing to be mindful of.
I'm looking up a little trivia. It says, like, we might talk about the first time, but the movie is based on a short story, The Greatest Gift, by Philip Van Dorenstern.
The Greatest Gift, that's not the one where the woman sells her hair for
that's the gift of the Magi, I think.
Oh, okay.
Although I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, no, it's
Me
wrong.
too.
Yeah. Well,
Just another sweet one.
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
It started out as a Christmas card.
Oh,
Christmas what?
Christmas card.
Oh, card.
Yep, it was a 21-page Christmas card.
what?
The writer sent out to 200 of his friends.
Oh my goodness, that's wow.
Originally, Cary Grant was slated to play George Bailey.
Ah.
I saw something else about this too. At first, James Stewart wasn't up for filming because it was so close after World War II that he had some PTSD in it.
Oh wow.
That's some of the like yelling screams or whatever
Yeah.
things were therapeutic to him. Right. The movie was shot during the 1946 heat wave.
Wow.
A new type of artificial snow was engineered just for this movie.
Mm.
Cool.
They filmed it in summer.
Yep. They use cornflakes painted white as snow.
Oh, clever.
Oh, wait, no. Wait. I think
So that- Soap
that's
flakes.
what they used to use, but that was too noisy for this. That's what they used to use before this movie. But now they have a formite, a firefighting chemical, like with sugar and water. Yeah.
Hmm.
In California. It was filmed in
Yeah, I could see
California.
soap flakes
Okay.
working really well, actually. So it even melts. That's one thing that bugs me even nowadays when I see snow. It's supposed to be snow, and it lands on their face and stays there and doesn't melt. I'm like, that took me out.
They're that cold. They're just also the
Yeah.
outer thing of their skin is just like frozen, frostbit.
Don't buy it.
Oh, suspension of disbelief.
I know. Well, if a movie's good enough, I shouldn't even notice that. So
Mhm.
Well, I think details are important. When we did Mousetrap for a dinner theater, when my character opened the play, I was coming in from a snowstorm, so I would have somebody put fresh snow from outside on my shoulders and on my hat. Careful not to put it on my hair because that would mean straight mousy hair for the whole play. um, but it, like you say, they saw I would shake it off, and they saw it was real, that it melted. So I think every time you can make it more real, and in movies and stage, it's amazing how many times we're just pulling the wool over the people's eyes. It is not real at all, but we
Mhm.
make it really seem that way.
mhm.
So
I
Yeah,
remember
I
when
think
some
it
of the
really
first-
surprised. Oops, sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I don't remember the first time I saw backstage in a play, but I remember that it surprised me.
yeah.
It's like,
What do you mean it's only this big and you have to shimmy along sometimes?
where's
For
the house? Where did it go?
literally for waiting for the parade, like I was backstage for a lot of that. I had a little tiny corner. I had to make sure I didn't let my knees shift because somebody in the audience would see me. I was literally crammed into this little corner. You never know how much actors suffer.
I know.
I know you know, but
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like Waiting for
Thinking of-
Godot, and they're in those little we did Waiting for Godot, and they're in this barrel, like on stage the whole first half of the play until their character comes out, and just cramped. They're small actors.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've been on stage. I might have to get back on for something. I think the last one was with Roxane. 5 years ago, 5 or 6.
No, that's not too far back. I think it's
For
been
me?
almost 30 years since I was on a stage.
Oh, well, I was in, I don't know, I was in a lot for a lot of years. I think 5 is the longest I've been off. What?
I have not done a stage play since 2015.
Was that ours?
No, it was Red Deer Players.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And when that play was done, I said, I am walking away from theater because there was just too much backstage drama. I was the
Oh.
president of the club at the time, and it was like, I am done.
Yeah.
And I
don't
haven't
like drama off the stage.
gone back. And I certainly would love to do
Yeah.
a full length play again. I would love to, but we'll see.
Yeah. It's a lot of time, especially for the community theaters. Like it might be better to do professional because then it's not so much time that you're giving.
Yeah.
And we could do it.
Yeah.
We've done it. So, but yeah, going for 4 months or 6 months or whatever to not audition, to rehearsal, it's too much.
It can be
Oh, it
done
depends,
in
too.
6 weeks.
It can be done in a week. I did mine in a week,
That's right.
but it's full time in a week.
Yeah.
So
You don't sleep in that week.
you don't have another full-time job in that week anyways. That's when my youngest was like, no, 6, because they were in school and the teachers were like, so we have to talk about something. I don't know if you're dating right now or what. And I'm like, nope. Well, your child has been talking about something about massaging a butt. And I'm like, oh, yeah, no, that's my script. They're helping me. 6
That
years
was
old and helping me.
that
I'm like,
was
What kind of movie are you making that you?
it was called Sexy
The script.
Laundry, and it was a married
Mm.
couple. And yeah, I had a week to learn the lines. The guy had already been the main character, the main woman dropped out. Oh, you know about this, Vicky, because they
I
asked me.
do.
Yeah.
I passed on the role
Yeah.
because of that opening scene, and you got to do it. So
Yes, I did. Yay.
I'm glad you did it.
And that was my first and only kiss on stage too, that I felt very awkward about beforehand, but it was no big deal after. It's like, but I can't remember who the guy was.
I do.
Oh, you remember my first kiss.
I've got I've got an eidetic memory. I don't get to forget this stuff.
Okay, what's his
You
name?
Do
really
you
again?
love it or do you hate it?
Eidetic memory?
Yeah.
I love it. Even when it tortures and haunts me. And I'm not like Sheldon. I cannot tell you what I had for breakfast in 1962. It's
Okay,
not
but
that
what
much.
was his name again?
His first name, Ron.
Right. Okay. Don't know the last. Okay.
You
Yeah.
were talking about making things look real too. And I remember watching when the first, like, went from just ordinary cartoons to like the really nice animated ones where I'm thinking, I'm watching I think it might have been A Bug's Life or something like that. You're watching a tree and the leaves just kind of in a top of a hill. And I was looking at that, and it took me a while to realize that I was watching an animated tree and not a real tree with real leaves fluttering, and I should have known, because the whole movie advertisement is it's all animated, right? But I'm just sitting in a theater like, I thought we were going to an animated show. And my husband's like, that is animation, Cat. And I'm like, what? That looks real. And then of course you get closer and you realize, okay, yeah, it is a drawing. But some of the animation and the visual technology you can do these days, when you see like that end scene, and I don't know if you've seen it, Rogue One, Star Wars. I won't, if you haven't seen it, I won't
Spoiler
spoil it,
alert.
but yes,
Which,
I won't,
if you
I
know
won't
everything
spoil
else,
it,
then it
but
wouldn't be a spoiler.
the
but
character comes on the scene, you're like, but that character shouldn't be there, and she shouldn't look like that, but it's all movie magic, and then being able to do digital stuff, and you're like, that is incredible. It looks like she walked on the thing and they filmed her, in person, and we know that's not possible. But yeah, it was just amazing what you can do, and part of it is based on, I think, on what you expect to see. And it's like magicians, right? Your attention's over here while they're doing the trick over here, because they're making you look there and you're seeing what you think you're seeing. And then all of a sudden, the rabbit comes out of the hat over here, right? But yeah, I think part of it's expectation, part of it is technology, part of it is just what you want to see. It's all those things put together, which I think is really clever when you're writing or producing, or whether it's stage or film.
Yeah. There was a play, Blythe Spirit. I was Elvira the ghost. And part of the magic of that one was how the set was built. And there were a few of the walls that they were just slightly offset. There was just enough room for me to sneak through. I was the only one that used those entrances. And you would have the focus on stage on the other side of the stage. I'm coming in on stage right, then you have the audience looking on stage left, and all of a sudden, boom, I'm on stage. Where did I come from? How did that happen? And another thing was how I walked. I had a very long flowing gown on, and I literally would walk across the stage on my tippy toe, gliding. So I looked like a spirit that wasn't even really touching the ground. Yeah, those little things.
I like the snow one. That's cool. Bringing the snow in, like you said.
Right. That was, yeah, it was genius. It made it so real in that moment, which started the show. So it's setting that mindset that, oh, this is really happening. And Jason Lee, he brought one of his friends after the show over to me one night and said, she needs to meet you, because she said that woman made me feel like I was peeping Tom, watching someone live their life, and I'm peeking through the window. And it's like, thank you very much. May I shake your hand? Yes.
Yeah, you need to get back on stage. You're kind of magical there.
I do miss it. Yeah.
Might be time.
Both of you. All
Yeah.
right, Kat,
And we
write
don't
them a
have to deal with-
play and they perform it.
Yep. And we don't have to get into any of the drama that's not on stage. We just keep it to the drama that's on stage.
Exactly.
That's when I stopped doing much, was when it just felt like that's all you'd hear was all the this is happening and gossip and blah blah blah. So no, thank you.
It's the No Drama Acting Group.
Yeah.
Drama.
That should be the name of the next Red Deer one. The No Drama Club.
Yes, and I keep thinking there should be a llama in there too. And
No Drama Llama Club. No drama, no llama.
That's the play we're writing right now. It's the Drama Llama.
The Drama
The
Llama.
llama just shows
Oh,
up
the
and causes
Drama
drama.
On that note,
Are we getting a little loopy? We're getting a little far off track.
Yeah, what time is it?
It's a wonderful
And for
llama.
the Drama Llama.
yep. I think I need to go make
Noise they
dinner
make.
because
Oh, yeah,
former
okay.
maid did not make it tonight.
Oh,
So
dang it.
All right. Thank you.
Mm.
and I guess to stop the live stream here. Say good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all for coming.